everyone. Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. We are at Duffy's. We're just about 5 miles away from World Camping World Stadium in downtown Orlando. Florida beats Miami. Great football game, 24-20. Somebody said it was going to be 26-20 Florida. I don't know who that was, but 26-20, 24-20. Final score, a game in which obviously could have gone either way. Certainly there were mistakes by both teams, so the penalties show that. Even if you don't believe that some of the penalties should have been called, a tremendous football game, at least from the standpoint of effort. Both teams, athletes all over the place, laying their game on the line down to the final few plays of the game when Miami had a chance, thanks to 2 pass interference calls against Florida that were clearly PI calls and should have been against the Florida Gators, but gave Miami another shot. But the pass rush for Florida was just devastating in this game. So are the Gators that devastating up front? Is Miami that weak along the offensive front as we anticipated and as they have been for quite some time? I think it's a little bit of both. Certainly Jabari Zuniga and company were devastating. David Greenard, the Louisville transfer, is a tremendous player. Certainly he had a much better opening night tonight in the blue and orange of Florida in winning a big ball game as a top 10 team than he did a year ago for the Louisville Cardinals, taking on the Alabama Crimson Tide and getting killed in that game. We got Miami and Florida fans all over the place. We enjoyed our time tonight at Duffy's with Hurricane Zoe Alonso Oliver, 1219, his get-together, and we were treated to the nth degree, and it was a tremendous thing. So if the transmission's a little bit rough, maybe it's a little bit loud, obviously the music, this end of the restaurant and bar outside is cleared out, so I tried to pick a corner that was a little less congested, a little bit cleared out that we could discuss college football in Miami and Florida in particular. Of course, Arizona is the 3rd Power 5 team of the season in action. I saw no score with about 10 minutes left in the first quarter was the last update that I saw in Hawaii. We appreciate 26 on the line right now from Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. I met so many tremendous people, some of who I didn't know and didn't know that they watched me. A number of people, just the response has been tremendous, but a number of people, like let's say, for example, Slim Shady Canes just came up to me and introduced himself. And of course, he's watched this for a long time and we've appreciated his contribution and would love to hear from you guys as well. So I will check out the live chat right now. We could certainly run down the ins and outs of this one. 44 on the line. We appreciate you stopping by. And again, I hope the audio and video is in our circumstances out here. We're just happy to get Wi-Fi up and ready to roll. DeAndre, thanks for joining us. We also have Dustin Kruger on the line. Ugly street brawl, and that in some ways what it was, an ugly street brawl. But I appreciate the effort those two teams laid it on the line. Dennis Wilson, go Canes. You should be proud of your football team. Yes, they have a lot to clean up, but first start for a rookie head coach, and I think that certainly came into play in the first half with all the pre-snap penalties, 6 of them pre-snap penalties against Miami. So that's something Manny Diaz needs to deal with. That's his responsibility. A first start quarterback certainly contributed to that issue. I know I was surrounded by a few Gator fans, mostly Miami fans, complaining about penalties, and I understand. I would say that the 2 pass interference calls, the ones way downfield on Miami, Blades called on one. I'm trying to think who was flagged for the other. Those were not pass interference penalties. They should not have been called against Miami. I also think, though, that the first Florida turnover via fumble, I think that was Malik Davis taking the pitch to the right side. He bobbled the pitch and was a bit behind him. And the ball was all over the turf, and he gathered it in and was on his knees. I think that play should have at least been reviewed, if not overturned, by the officials. So the officials may have had an opening night that was less than pretty as well. 72 on the line. We appreciate you stopping by. Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. If you have yet to like, comment, share, and subscribe to these videos, if maybe you're finding me for the first time, this is what we do: is we talk college football every day. Not typically 5 miles from the stadium in Orlando, typically from the Voice of College Football studios in beautiful Connecticut. But this is what we do: is break down college football all across the board. All right, Dustin, go Gators. I know you're happy tonight. Randy Noel, not impressed with Enos at all. No tight end used. Well, don't say that the tight end wasn't used. I know that was what we talked about most of the week in regards to the tight ends being so spectacular at Miami, and I might be getting a call in. Anyway, the tight end position, obviously a strength at Miami, and it's difficult for any team, no matter how strong defensively, to be able to cover 4 and 5 guys. And once you get down to that 3rd, 4th, 5th nickelback that has to cover downfield, you usually have a mismatch. And Miami looked like they were going to take advantage of that early in the game. They spaced the field. Now, I'm not saying they went up tempo. Neither team. This was an old school football game when it comes to the tempo of the game. This was an old school football game. The tempo and the pace of play was pretty standard on both sides. I'm not going to say slow, but pretty standard. This is not a tempo game. But on that first drive, Dan Enos put Jaron Williams in a position to succeed, and he did, hitting on 5 of 5 passes, which led to the field goal and a 3-0 lead. Lucas Abner says sloppy football. Yeah, a number of penalties. Felipe Franks made a comment about his second interception, saying he was throwing it away, trying to throw it away. Certainly the pressure was there quickly, so I don't fault him for the interception in regards to the poor throw, but that was a poor decision. Once they took the shot from behind Franks to what he was looking at, that was a poor decision to go in that direction with 3 Miami defenders in the vicinity, the way that the play was developed. Brevin was used. DeAndre notes right there. Bo says, go Gators. DeAndre, we appreciate you stopping by as always with 108 on the line. As Dennis says, you still little sister Florida. So Miami came into the game having won 7 of 8 against Florida. That 2008 national championship team at Florida was the only team that could beat Miami in the last 8 meetings, 26-3. So Florida gets a rare win against Miami, at least in recent history. Who else is on the line? Jabari. Florida looked terrible. Too many mental mistakes. Well, certainly in the last drive they had 2 mental mistakes. They were so I took a little exception with the graphic after 3 turnovers for Miami against the Florida offense, that Miami had forced 3 turnovers. They didn't force any of those. First 2 plays, it was Felipe Franks mistiming and not making the decisive, clear decision with Lamichael Pirine on whether to keep the ball or give it to Pirine. So they had that one fumble. They had the Malik Davis fumble on somewhat of a sloppy pitch, but also Davis should have handled the ball. Neither of those were forced by Miami. And then the third one was a Felipe Franks wide open receiver in the seam, missed him, threw it high, picked off. Great catch by Amari Carter. But the 3 turnovers by Florida were not forced by Miami. So I know that Canes were certainly celebrating the turnover chain, but they didn't force those turnovers. Offensive line horrible. Hurricane Rod says mostly yes. Maybe more of a veteran quarterback would have gotten rid of the ball a few times, but Jaron Williams played extremely well for his first start. I certainly believe that. A lot to be hopeful for there for Miami fans in watching Jaron Williams. I didn't see the final statistics yet, but I know that he got off to a hot start at 5 for 5. He was 12 for 15 at one point. And I can only maybe think of 3 or 4 bad throws. Glad you found me. We're live right now. I am doing a live stream right now. We got 142 on the line. Going to bring Corey. We got Christy as well. They were so kind to me. Still love their Canes. Still proud of their Canes. You know, you got a lot to be hopeful about. I know it hurts tonight, but they were so nice to me, and we hung out all night. It was a good time. 154 on the line. Thanks for joining.
Hit that like button and subscribe.
This guy right here, I tell you, that's the line right there. Yeah. Please hit the like button. It helps us out a lot. So you two have to make it a long ways away.
Yeah,
Yes.
Long ways away.
Back to Georgia, to Athens. All righty.
Well, thank you.
Thank you for having us on.
Of course. Thanks for finding me.
it was a pleasure.
It's all about you. We are true fans to the football family. Remember to like and subscribe. Thumbs up.
What she said.
Thumbs up.
Peace out.
All those likes.
And you haven't seen the last of Christy on our Rogers TV.
No.
No.
See ya. Have fun.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Yes, absolutely. It's a pleasure.
Thank
Pleasure.
you.
Safe travels.
All right, you too.
Thank you. Those are good people right there. We had a great time tonight watching Miami and the Florida Gators. All right, let's see what else we've got on the line. Randy says the heads are down. We lost to an average football team. Jesse Sullivan, Miami will be very strong at the end of the year. Travis, worst game I've ever seen Florida play in 18 years. Ooh, Travis. You've been watching Florida for 18 years, and that's the worst? No, that's not the worst game we played. There was a little game against Georgia Southern about 5 years ago. I think MCD Sports 4 was bragging about his prediction. I lost it there, 24-14. Somebody here did say 26-20 Florida. Let's keep that in mind. Deeper Rot, that has to be the worst game of all time. Man, some of you were not watching the same game I was. I understand it wasn't perfect. It wasn't pretty. It was ugly. A lot of mistakes, but it was exciting. It went down to the last 12 seconds of the game. No, it wasn't an extremely well-played game, but it was a hard-fought game. There was effort out there. Michael loved the offense much better, but it was a messy game. O-line is just rough. And sorry, I lost your comment, Michael. This is jumping on me too fast. I don't necessarily see what you guys see in terms of the comments. They jump by pretty quickly. 864 Kane, you bring up a great point on the holding penalty on the Cam Harris long run that got you down inside the 5-yard line. I wanted to see replays there. I didn't see the replays. There were 2 holding penalties. I believe one was on Jeff Thomas, one was on Brevin Jordan. Didn't see either one. Needed to see a replay there. Tate played and looked what he did. Cheryl Johnson. Hey, Cheryl. Seth, the game was awful. Felipe Franks trying to lose. He had his good moments and his bad moments. The one pick down the seam was awful. On the right side, late in the game, was there was pressure, but also was a poor decision to even be throwing the ball in that direction. The missed field goals, yes. Pigskin Pete, good to see you, man. Ugly game. Jesse Sullivan, Florida didn't look like a top 10 team either. They did not look like a top 10 team. But again, you guys need to realize most football games, most sporting events, but certainly football games, mistakes and preventing mistakes typically win games. It's not the outstanding plays. Look at all the mistakes that were made, and Florida made less. Florida made less crucial mistakes. Interesting game. Jesse, I will try to take calls. I don't know if they'll be too successful, but the number here is the number as always. So the number travels with me from Connecticut to Florida. How about that? 860-325-3687. 860-325-3687. I don't know if you guys can see me. 161 on the line. It's good to see all of you. Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Let's get back to the live chat here. If I missed your comment, I apologize. Again, I can only go about 20 to 25 back. Let's run through as many as possible. This is as far as I can go back with the comment by man, de-identify. Miami was a better team with missed field goal and a muff punt. Oh, the muff punt, yeah, by Jeff Thomas. We will give this a shot. We will give this a shot. Hey, it's Mark Rogers, TV, the voice of college football. Who's on the line?
Yo, Mark.
We are going to have to see what the response is if people can hear phone calls. But I can hear you, Deeper Rod. Barely, but I can hear you.
Okay.
People, let us know if you can hear Deeper Rod on the phone. What you got, man?
A little bit of a background noise, but I can hear you very clearly as well. Yeah, man, I think that was a fought contest, but I must say there was way too many penalties in that game. There were way too many penalties and also way too many turnovers. The amount of turnovers in that game just kind of killed it. It was almost like anticlimactic and a little bit of a stomach turner as well. Now, I mean, for entertainment purposes, I suppose it was a decent game, but the quality of football was just terrible. Maybe like high school level to some degree. What are your thoughts?
I can't hear you too well, except for you talking about the mistakes made. I would like to know if everyone in the chat can hear you. I'm not getting a verification either way. So this is going to determine whether we take phone calls. I think that the game played out. I hate to say it. I hope the rest of my predictions go this well, Deeper Rod, because I said 26-20, and I basically laid it out in a sense the way it went. These were two teams that are not elite teams. They have a few elite players. They're very good teams. They are, I don't know that they'll finish this high in their national rankings, but they are top 10 to 15 talent rosters. And they're very difficult to distinguish between the two. I know Florida's supposed to be substantially better. They're supposed to be decidedly better, but they're really not in regards to talent. And the game played out pretty much as I anticipated.
Yeah. What do you think Florida stands this year? Do you think it's another 10-win season or not really?
You didn't see my predictions, did you? I picked Florida to go 8-4. I've got Florida going 8-4.
They're definitely not a top 10 team. You're right.
I'm sorry, Deeper Rod. What was that?
Yeah, no, they're definitely not a top 10 team this year.
8-4 can get you maybe in the 15 range. I don't think they're quite a top 10 team. I don't think they're quite there, but you know we're splitting hairs at this point. Top 10, top 15. I think they're in the top 15. Unfortunately, with the phone calls, I'm trying to get the phone as close to the speaker as possible so people out there can hear you. But then when I do, I can't hear you too well.
Okay. I mean, I have no problem with you. But yeah, man, I think it was a entertaining game. I was not very impressed by the quality of the football, but it should get better next week when everyone kind of starts playing and things return to normal. Are you by any chance catching up with the Hawaii game? I know it doesn't really matter, but I just want to hear your thoughts.
You said the Arizona-Hawaii game on right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to be able to watch that game. I will watch the cut-down version is what I'm going to watch out of that one.
Right, and it's probably doesn't have any national implications, I would imagine.
No, I don't think so, but I certainly want to see these teams play. I'm like you. I want to see as much college football as possible, so I will do my best to catch up with some of that game, but I'm not going to I've not DVR'd it, and it's, about almost half over, I would think, at this point.
Right.
Give us a score update on Arizona-Hawaii. At least me a score update.
I think it was like 14-7.
Okay.
Hawaii, yeah, let me check again. I think it's now 20-7 Hawaii. So Hawaii is not even a Power 5 team, right? And then if they lose, Arizona loses, I think if anything, it can show the Pac-12 is even more weak than it is right now. But I don't know. I haven't really heard much about Hawaii football. What about you?
I can't say that I have either. I think you can understand with the content that I produce. So when we talk here, I'm not focused on Hawaii very, very often. so my scouting report on Hawaii, if you're looking for one, is null and void. All right, DeParato, I appreciate the call, man.
Yeah, I'll let you go.
Thank you so much. Okay, 155 on the line. What do we got? What do we got? Who's next? Any other pathetic coaching? Pathetic coaching and our end. Cadenta just play calling to compensate for the offensive line that was getting murdered. Yeah, it was getting murdered. That's going to be the story this season right now for Miami, as it appears in Jaron Williams' development. Certainly good things to see out of Jaron Williams. Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Who's on the line?
Bash.
Hey, Bash. How are you?
Pretty good. It was an enjoyable night of football. Very entertaining game. I don't want to say it was it was a close game, and it was, I guess, a good game, but I'm going to be with everyone else. The football quality was just not up to par tonight.
I think we're a little rough on these kids. They don't play any preseason games. They play controlled scrimmages. Again, they don't play preseason games. They're not professionals. I know that we treat them as professionals and think that this is the first and foremost reason that they're in school, and that's the way many of them approach it, but not all of them. I'm not going to cut on the level of play. Yeah, there were mistakes made out there. A lot of it has to do with the pressure and the speed of the game, especially on the other side. So, yeah, it wasn't a clean football game. A lot of players out there for a first time or that have only had a certain amount of reps. So I made this point to Cam Underwood this week. I said, this happens in college football all over the place. Week one of any season for any team, even for the elite teams, there are going to be players out there playing in key situations or just playing in general that are going to see situations that they've never seen, or maybe they've ran through on a practice field 3 or 4 times, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, it's happening here in this Hawaii-Arizona game. I've been watching it since I got home from a party just down the road with some friends watching the game, and it happens. I know, and I'm not defining either team's season. I'm not going to jump to conclusions, because if we would have done that last year, Texas would have been 500. So I'm not going to base game one their entire season. I'm just going to point out that I wasn't too impressed with the play calling for Florida down the stretch. It was disappointing. A lot of missed tackles, which I can understand. There's not too many contact practices that you get into, and practice is still practice, not game type scenarios. So I can understand the missed tackles. I was very impressed with Zuniga, and of course you are, but there were some players who kind of shied away. Like, I feel like there were a couple of good plays with DJ Henderson.
Yeah.
When he really needed to step up, make a big play, because there were opportunities for Dean, Taylor, Henderson in that secondary to make a big play. They just didn't show up. Mental lapses, pressure of the game, as you said. And I think also it being the only game on nationally televised, all eyes on it, I think that had a huge factor in that ball game.
So if you look at the way Miami performed in the first half on defense, basically that Kadarius Toney 66-yard play was a joke in regards to, I don't want to call out the wrong players. I tried to take some notes, but you can imagine I'm in a sports bar. I didn't lock in on details on this game, but in regards to just the missed tackles on that play were awful. But other than that, Miami's defense played an extremely strong first half. Things got away from them in spots in the second half. But, yeah, there were missed tackles. But, man, when you got DJ Dallas trucking down the field, it's difficult to contain him. That guy's a beast. I was certainly look at the lower half of DJ Dallas, and he's a monster.
I've always had high expectations for DJ Dallas. I didn't expect him to come out with that offensive line, that receiver, and have that defensive front, how talented they are. I didn't expect him to do what he did out of that Wildcat. That Wildcat, I wish they would have ran it more often, because I feel like the game, they could have gotten another big play out of that. And I think the most entertaining part about this game was the momentum swings in this game. Just back and forth. One team has full momentum. The other team, I'll give credit to Florida and Miami both. Until the end, both teams responded to adversity very well. So, I would encourage that guy to they can build off that experience, overcoming adversity, not having the pressure. A team like that early in the season can be a gift. Miami still got a lot of head. Everything's alive for both teams. All their goals are alive for both teams. So it might have been fast football, as I said, but there was a lot of big games. So there you go.
So Bash, for the last few minutes, you've basically been my analyst. I haven't heard much of anything that you've said. It's getting louder and louder down at this end. But one of the last things I said, I heard you say concerned the momentum swings in the fourth quarter. So, yeah, when there was about 5 minutes left in the game, I think there was like 4 consecutive plays where there were big plays or turnovers that went back and forth, and it was like, and just being in a room full of Gators and mostly Hurricane fans, it was quite entertaining to just see the game swing and hang in the balance with about 4 minutes left, play after play after play after play, back and forth. And some of them were kind of careless plays, mistakes, but it's still fun as a football fan, especially one that doesn't have a stake in the game, to watch the ebb and flow of the game go back and forth. And again, I think we're a little too hard on these kids. No preseason games, and they fought their hearts out. And yeah, mistakes to be cleaned up, and especially on the Miami side with the 6 pre-snap penalties in the first half. You can't have that. But again, a game one with a new starting quarterback, a new head coach, that's on Manny Diaz. He will get that cleaned up. I would hope so, unless he does a Willie Taggart and this continues the whole season. All right, Bash. I hope everyone out there got that. I appreciate you stopping by, man. Our boy Bash will be on for a few more minutes. But, man, this is always the deal. We've got the most people on the line that we've had the entire time at 225. Hey, I got to hand it to these Miami folks. I would say about 80 to 85% of the people that were surrounding me in Hurricane Zoe's little group, Miami fans, of course, and they took the loss extremely well. Hey, still had a good time, still talking to us after the game. Sure, they were disappointed. Really felt like, man, the game was right in their lap. Obviously, this went back and forth. And this is going to be a game, obviously, once I can go through the play-by-play and look at it, I'm going to have a little bit better analysis, because I want to have some questions answered for me, and I think they will be. I would love to take, and I've thought of this many times, I would love to take the snap and the throw for each quarterback for Felipe Franks. That was 27 throws tonight, and really grade it out and see how well he performed. But that throw that he went up top to Hammonds, was it Hammonds or Swain for the big throw up top? That was a Major League NFL big game throw with 4 minutes left, down 20-17. Huge throw by Felipe Franks to close out that drive. What Felipe Franks needs to do is get his head in the game, focused on his teammates, focused on Dan Mullen, focused on his assistant coaches that are trying to pump him with information, on getting his teammates together, on being a leader and not being a cheerleader in the crowd and antagonizing people on the other side. That's what Felipe Franks needs to do, is be a leader and grow up a little bit. That would be good. But he turns out with a win today, threw a couple picks, but a couple touchdowns. He made plays, he made mistakes. And again, the 2 picks were his fault. So I think we're going to wrap it up here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. And I hope you've enjoyed the coverage as we've made our way down to Orlando tonight and this weekend. We've enjoyed we will attempt one more call. Oh, somebody's hanging up on me. Very good. But we've enjoyed our stay down in Orlando. We are going to take the red eye bright and early in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning. We'll be out and back home very soon. And, of course, we are going to rev it up this week for week 1 of college football with previews all over the place. Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. And if you listen to the first 2 calls, do not ask me anything. Do not expect me to respond to anything you have to say, but I will certainly take the phone call. Who's on the line? Who do we have on the line here? Hey, Jevy, how are you?
Pretty good.
What you got for us tonight?
I just wanted to say that was a great game. Loved it.
Absolutely, it was a great game. People are saying it's an awful game. Most of the people on the live chat are saying it's an awful game.
What I expected from the first game of the season.
Exactly. No preseason games, limited practice. Yeah. Bunch of 18 and 20-year-old kids out there.
I love the play for Aaron Williams. He did not play like a freshman, to be honest. Like he played well. He had a couple moments.
Sure.
Of brain part, but for the most part, pretty good.
Yeah, I was impressed with Aaron Williams. Miami fans have a lot to be excited about there. There's no question about it. Sure, did he make mistakes? Every quarterback makes 4 or 5 bad decisions over the course of the game. You just hope it's not in the wrong spot and it's not to the wrong team. But, man, he was under siege 3/4 of the time. So he did very well. I mean, I'm saying I just was pulling for the ACC. I thought Florida was going to win because I thought they had a little bit more on the roster. But Miami come out and well, I was 1 point off in my prediction. I called for a lot of field goals and a lot of fouls. I predicted it to be 23-20, 24-20. Pretty right on. Very happy with it. And stuff. Very good game. Great way to start off. Well, thanks for the call, man.
I can't wait. Not a problem.
I appreciate it. Call anytime. Maybe next time I'll be able to hear you, but I appreciate the phone call, man. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
All right, everyone. As I was saying, we'll get you all set for week 1, certainly starting on Sunday. I've all sorts of previews already lined up, so we will preview as many games as we can possibly get to in week 1 and certainly put a bow on this one. Miami and Florida with a little bit more analysis once I get another look at the stats, the numbers, and some of the metrics from this game in particular. Obviously, I saw the one run through, but I would like to see a couple key plays again, see some stats and some metrics that we can put some context on this one. But I think this is encouraging for Miami. You don't want to lose the game. And Florida's not a great team. They're a good team. They're a top 10 to 15 team that I project to go 8-4 this year. Miami at 8-4. Miami fans didn't like to hear that, but I think they're on their way to 8-4 this season. Those are my thoughts on Miami and Florida, and I appreciate all of the support that you guys have provided me each and every day. I met so many amazing people here this weekend who watch me on a regular basis. Absolutely. Oh, look at Who is this guy? What is this?
Eyes in the building. Hey,
Look at that.
Mark, you and your son, this is my Roger. You and your son were amazing. I keep saying it. I truly appreciate you guys coming out here, man.
Oh, hey.
You didn't have to come out. What's going on? There go Mark Roger right there.
I see it.
Hey,
We're on with we got about 200 on the line right now.
hey, Mark. Thank you so much. I feel like we got cheated. I don't give Florida no respect for this game. You get too many calls. Too many BS calls. Too many bullshit calls. I'm sorry. But listen, Mark, I love you so much. Your son, y'all show so much respect. Mark.
Does he need it?
Nah, she's trying
Because I
to.
want to leave him.
Hey, Mark.
Whoa.
Hey, Mark. Mark, I appreciate everything you did for me. Thank you for coming.
Get your child.
Thank your son for coming. It was
You
real.
gotta get the child.
And we raising money now. You coming to Tallahassee.
You're my man, Zoe.
You coming to
You know that.
Tallahassee. We raising money. We gonna start raising money for that now. Y'all coming to Tallahassee. Get ready to take your days off. Miami, Florida State. Coming to Tallahassee.
It was great to see you, man.
Love
It was
you, brother.
awesome. Good to see you,
Hey, I
man.
gotta get my charger.
Oh, yeah.
All right, folks. Yes, we'll wrap it up right here. And again, week one's coming. They haven't lost heart. Strong performance tonight, regardless of the final score. 24-24 to wins it. Somebody here said 26-20. My apologies. I was off by 2 points. We'll set you up for week one. As you guys know, we will set you up for week one like nobody else. I've got all sorts of previews already planned and maybe a 24-hour live stream. I got to figure that out. Right here, Mark Rogers, TV, the voice of college football, and we'll be back in studio tomorrow.